Hello, everyone. This is Julie from August Birdsong, and I'm here today with my May design team journal for the Graphics Fairy. And this journal is all about a celebration of the seasons. And as you can see, even though I try, they end up being fairly thick, although this one I think is a little more under control than others, but there you can see it. I have put an image of Flora, who was a nymph in Greek and Roman mythology, and Botticelli painted this image of her in one of his paintings. And I put her there because she was the goddess of spring and flowers. And this whole journal is about kind of personifying nature. And that means, bringing it to life as a character in itself. And so I thought she was fitting for the cover here. There are a lot of flowers in it, but it is seasonal. So everything is kind of by each season. So opening this, let me start through it, and I'll probably open it up like I usually like to do. It's easier for me to show you close-ups of it. And I started it in winter and thinking of like January. And you can see over on this side here, I've used colors and tones that, again, suggest cool weather. And I have a knight down here, and he is on his way, presumably, to the castle. And I found, again, like the knight and this garland here surrounding the castle, I think in the royalty bundle. But I wanted this to take us to faraway places and imagine if the seasons could come alive in character form, what they might look like. And I got the idea for this journal. Here, I'm just going to show you a minute. Because as I looked through the various bundles, I came across like this one of French fashion ladies with their big dresses. And the more I looked at them, they reminded me of flowers. And I thought, and it's a silly thought, but I thought, if you turn them upside down, they're almost like their skirts are almost like full-blown tulips or really blooming roses. And so that's what kind of got me thinking along the lines of not just nature, but personifying it. So as I looked through more of the bundles, I came across this one of theatrical characters. And in looking at them, I thought this would be a great winter character personified. He's like Jack Frost. And so what I did is I just enlarged the ones I wanted to use from this set, and I've put them here, sort of paper doll size. And I used more than these three, obviously, but this is just to show you. So I copied and pasted the thumbnail onto a Google Doc, enlarged it to what I wanted, and then I could just cut it out and, use that ephemera. So that's what got me thinking along these lines of personifying nature. And so here we have this page with our Jack Frost. And just as a little bit of humor, because he is quite the flamboyant character here in his winter garb. I put these little children from this vintage painting, and they're peeking through the fence. And it reminded me of, as children, we are often spying on adults or stuff going on in the neighborhood. And I thought, what if they thought they saw him? I saw a strange man and, floating around or peeking behind the trees. Well, in our day and age, that would be time to go in and get mom. But in the imaginary world, think of the children, let's see, who is he? What's he going to do? And you have all the nature surrounding it. And he's actually watching them and kind of laughing about it. But that was sort of what I had in mind. I also chose this picture because the little girl's teal dress here is so nice with our Jack Frost in his kind of teal winter blue colors and all. And notice I did the background in papers from the Graphics Fairy. And this one here happened to be a jelly print I had on hand from last summer. And the colors went right with it. So I worked that into the collage as well. So turning the page, we're in late winter coming into early spring. And here we have a 2-page spread. I like them to complement each other. And I think at this point then I'll open it so I can focus on one side or the other. And here's a little flip page, and I've collaged just scraps. These are all just background papers that were left over from the previous journals I've made for the Graphics Fairy. And I also used some old vintage music from my last journal and, just collaged that base in the beginning and stitched it and all. And then I went in with my focal points. So my tulips, and some are real overblown. I put some nuts in there, mainly just for color and also just for something for my little mice here, my stamp mice, to run behind. Remember, I like to do a lot of dimensional stuff. So I put the leaves on dimensional foam and tucked the bird behind it. I also like it to have that sense of nature watching. So we do have the owl. Maybe he's spying these mice and getting some thoughts about lunch. And that sort of thing. So that's how I did that. I used, just in this case, a muslin hinge. I usually go for about an inch, think of your thumb size, of muslin with 1/2 inch on one side and a 1/2 inch glued to the other side. And for my flips. And that's one way you can do it. There are many different ways. Here are just some art pictures I had in my stash, just to, again, draw on that idea of winter or late spring. And here are some pictures, just ephemera and such, and greenery from the Graphics Fairy that I just collaged into the background. And I love to use greenery and colors to kind of express different seasons or feelings. This is a little bit of jelly print paper right here. And since we're in spring, at the beginning of spring, at the end of winter, I found some classic art images to kind of express that change of season and the moon. And this is, I think it might be the character Merlin, but I put him in because this idea of nature personified, and he's creepy, but winter is this sort of dead time, and this character within the ground sort of peeking out as early spring flowers start to bloom out from him. He just, even though he's a little eerie, he captured exactly that feeling I was going for of winter is a time of sleep and decay and rejuvenation of all the nourishment in the ground. So I included that. So then moving on to this page here, we have sort of a woman of the Renaissance or late 1600s maybe. This is a Graphics Fairy image I found in the archives. When you get your Friday freebies newsletter, you can go into the archives and do searches on, for whatever. And so I found her under, I think I Googled or did a search, not Googled, but searched Renaissance. I have a little more of my jelly print and some more of this beautiful Graphics Fairy paper in the background. In Colorado, where I live, spring is often, it's warming up, but it's often still cold and very wet and sort of snowy. And so I brought those images into it as well. And here's a kind of classic Renaissance woman with her owl. The quote I have here is Claude Monet, "My wish is to stay always like this, living quietly in a corner of nature." And so there you have that. And again, to build up the background, I used greenery, evergreen and deep green leaves. Okay, so moving on, we're coming into spring, and I titled this page Magician because spring is a magical time where all of a sudden, this sort of brown on brown on brown or just evergreen look, at least in Colorado, that's sort of how it is in winter, emerges into more color and growth. And this particular character's jacket, she is from this theatrical characters thing. Her jacket itself just totally made me think of springtime. And again, sort of a Botticelli painting. And if you're not familiar, if you've heard of the Birth of Venus, or this is another one, this is spring, this is Flora again here. But Botticelli's paintings are this combination of beautiful characters and nature within their clothes and surrounding them. And so that's what I was going for. She is sort of my version of Flora on this page, bringing her flowers, maybe sweeping out the dinge of wintertime. And so when you open it on this side, I still have, the coolness of spring and spring snow and rain and all of that. But we're slowly coming out of it. And here we have another famous painting of this one. She has tulips here. And this is sort of a medieval woman. And she's looking out maybe of a castle and thinking of spring. Here's a graphics fairy image and just her colors and her dress. The hearts reminded me of Valentine's Day, which is just a month or so before spring starts. And so again, put some bulbs in. And this is a painting of the wind. So again, nature personified. And here we have an image of night and winter, and we're coming out of that time in the thaw. And I like things to be very tactile, that, the touch of it as well as the look of it and the colors brings you to that particular season. Here is a character I found at the Graphics Fairy, and I think she was on more of like a journaling card, and I cut her out and, just inked the edges and put her into the background. I think I might have enlarged her a little. And so she is, peering out. Maybe she is in this castle. All right, so we'll put these back in. Turn the page. So we're definitely in spring now. And so we turn the page, and here we have, again, sort of a character of Flora, or Greek mythology, you might think of Persephone. And she's sprinkling flowers. And I've built her up kind of behind enlarged tulips that I put on dimensional foam. She's against a collaged background. And again, these are just scraps from my previous journals. They were just, bits I had left over, plus a little music and old book page here and there. And here we have like the plums and the berries. And one thing I really like to do, let me grab it here, is I will, using those thumbnails on the Graphics Fairy bundle pages, I go in or you could find these under images if you did a search of the Graphics Fairy for fruit. And I find the fruit or the image I want, and I copy and paste it onto my own Google document, and I can enlarge it or shrink it, make it whatever size I want, and I do a multiple batch of them because I'm always using these things. So this is just one example of how I did it. Now this one I did on just printer paper. It's thinner for the background. These are on cardstock, and so those are the types I would put on dimensional dots. So I use cardstock for the dimensional ones. And opening it up, and this one is hinged as well with the muslin. I added some ribbon and trim. Here's another kind of Renaissance woman, young woman from the Graphics Fairy. This, I think this is actually in the Renaissance set, the bundle. And put her just with some collage scraps again. That's one way I control my stash, is trying to use up remnants as I continue forward with new projects. Here, I love, this is, I think it's in the India paper set, this teal background. I use that a lot. And here I've just put, robins, and they have eggs in the nest. Now I've put some pears by them. They probably wouldn't be ripe yet, but I went with them because I liked the color and I wanted it to pick up my Renaissance lady here, that gold of her headdress. I think I found her on the archives for the Graphics Fairy. And so she's there. And then on this page, here we have another scene of the castle. I think this is in the Renaissance bundle. And some other kind of personified characters. This is Hope. And here is this is all old art here, an image of creation and all with an angel holding, I think, the world there. And then here I have the garden. I titled this Rebel because this gal, she just looks like she's going to do what she wants. She's in the garden, and maybe this is her maid or someone, there for serving her, but she looks like she's in her element there, prancing around the garden. And these I just put on, here's another vintage picture. I just put on some scrap paper, and I like to build up old book pages just around the edges, and I distress them and just to give it that effect. I don't know why I like it, I just do. Here's another Graphics Fairy image and cherries, and notice this one is flat, but this one's on dimensional dots, and so I wanted to lift it up to give it, again, just a little more dimension to the page. The mushroom down here, and there may have been some already in there, came from a printable at the Graphics Fairy. I'm grabbing it here. Here's the Renaissance kit. You can see European Renaissance is what that bundle is called. And here is a printable under, I want to say it's like Owls and Mushrooms, or Mushrooms and Owls. It's something like that, I think the bundle is. And this is one of the printables. So you just hit print and they come out this size. I like to do this on cardstock because it makes it firmer for, more dimensional type art. And so there is that page. And here it's late spring, we're coming into early summer, and one of our French ladies here, just her colors reminded me of late spring, early summer, when everything is so pure and fresh. The greens are lighter and fresher, the pinks, everything is emerging from winter, and it's not late summer when colors are more blown out or dried looking. It's all fresh. And I have my French lady here on dimensional dots, and she's sort of walking in the heavens here. This is a stamp that I put down there. Claude Monet again. I must have flowers always and always. And so we open it, And here we have these two pages. This side one on the back of my French lady there. This one I really love. I just love the colors. And again, I've worked with the dimension. And notice here, this is from the Graphics Fairy. All of this here, this is a jelly print from last year. And I just had part of it in my stash, but it was the apple, everything. It sort of captured the red and blossoms and everything of summer. And notice I glued these flowers flat, but put some dimensional dots on the upper flowers. So when my bird went in the background, you're peeking in at him. And so, let's see, I don't know that you can see them real well, maybe a little there. So sometimes I will glue part of the ephemera and build up another part of it, and it still holds just fine, just to create that depth in there and that image of looking in, and the bird is peeking out at us. And I just sort of built this all on an angle, this bouquet with a mushroom here, just because that's how the page would work best. And this side is summer in all its elegance. And here, this is like a queen, very much Marie Antoinette type of period in her regal demeanor. I picked her for summer. I mean, she's gorgeous, and her skirts and everything, but she also has this very much gold and deep browns and tans, and just the full bloom of summer as the heat comes in. Here were some papers, a little bit of spring papers. Here you can see some blossoms. Again, those were all scraps from earlier journals. And so that is summer. And summer continues. It's a golden summer. Here is another gal from that European Renaissance bundle. And all I did is she's like, I think she's a journaling card in the bundle. And let me find her again. Here it is. She's a journaling card, and all I did is I added some little hinges with paper, and I just use little cutoffs like this from when I cut out, the digital prints and stuff. And then when you can use a scoreboard, but you get the idea. When you do that, you glue one side to what you're making the pocket with, and glue the other side to the base. And that tucks under and allows it to slip in. See how that works? So that's what I did. She's really a journaling card, but she works great as a pocket. Here I have sunflower, this beautiful evergreen tree. And again, the full-blown colors. Maybe this is August going into September. Here's a famous painting, a mother and her children. It looks like a very elegant sofa in the garden. Here, this is from the Graphics Fairy. The tomatoes need to be picked. We have the sunflowers growing. And here again, we have sort of summer personified. This is a famous painting, and in itself, it is summer bringing us the fruits and labor of the garden and all. So I included that one in there. And then this page, I ended up putting a little closure on just to help the pages stay closed when the book is closed, so they weren't sort of popping open and causing trouble with other pages. So I just did two little, little holes here, and the little eyelets, I think they're called, in there. And here we have again a lady of leisure in the summer, and I've put this black and white stalk of wheat in front of her on dimensional dots, and the birds are around her, and life is good. And this is from the, now I'm forgetting the name of it. It's the Tuscany set, I'm pretty sure. A Taste of Tuscany, I think it is. And so here we have again kind of summer personified, and all the flowers, but the deep colors of autumn are starting to come in. And so I chose that image specifically for that. And here again, this is a character from the theatrical set, from the Graphics Fairy. And the way I staged these two pages is almost as if she's calling to nature. Maybe summer is about to leave, it's autumn coming in, probably September, and she's calling to nature. And here we have an owl. And this is from that like owls and mushrooms set. And I just enlarged it again and put it on dimensional dots. And I love how he turned out on there. We have the fox down here. He might be from the Taste of Tuscany set, if I remember right. And I started to use more brown and deep yellow or gold in the background as a way to express that fall is coming. And here she's even telling them. All right, and so there we have that page. So now we are moving into fall. And the last of the birds in their nests and their young, they are leaving the nest. And again, I worked a lot with colors to express those seasons. And here we have this lady, I think she was either in the archives or in the European Renaissance kit. And I've put, these are either like kind of golden apples or maybe peaches or plums around her. And on this page, this lady is from the Gypsy, a Gypsy set at the Graphics Fairy. And so I just enlarged her. Here's another image, they'll come up in a minute, from that same set. And the trees were either that set or the Tuscany one. But her dress had all the colors of the season. We have the sunflowers. I've also worked in the gourds and, pumpkins with it. These are figs up here. They're in the Tuscany set. And again, just worked in different greenery to kind of unite all the elements, and so bring the page together. We have the owl, the wise owl there, and I stenciled Traveler there because, birds are starting to travel away for, the seasonal changes, as winter will be around the bend. And it's a time to start hunkering down. So there you have that page. And here then we are in fall, maybe it's October, going into November. And seeing this painting just reminded me of like almost Thanksgiving. I mean, poor duck, but the feast, the celebration of what the season has brought. But maybe we'll just think maybe the duck is a pet and she's bringing him along to celebrate. Here we have more mushrooms, and I've put a lot of nuts, the acorn, half of a walnut. Remember, I like to cut my ephemera up. So like here's the walnut, but I didn't have room on the page for the whole thing. It just would have been too big. So if you just cut it to the size or the shape it's gonna, work best at. Here I've cut up some apples. There are a lot more leaves on this, but I wanted to use the apples for some other page. So don't be afraid to alter your ephemera. And this is just a little tab I put in here. Late summer, early autumn, it's still warm and she's sleeping, taking a nap. Put a feather in a shoe as a sign of the colors. And you have this lady from the theatrical set, and she is, again, surrounded by the colors of summer as we transfer into fall. And then here again from that gypsy, I don't know if it's vintage gypsy, it's something like that. And they're celebrating. And, think about it, in a time before grocery stores and Amazon orders and everything. I mean, literally your life depended on the harvest, because if the harvest was poor, if there was a drought, or an early frost, and so fruit didn't blossom, you were going to have a long, cold winter with a hungry stomach. And so here again, it's that time of celebration, fall festival type. The harvest has been good. Over here, I have the lady who is, she is looking maybe at the festival going on. She's been in the fields collecting wheat. And we have the grapes and flowers in the background, grapes for making wine as well as for eating. I even tucked a lemon in here, and we have a pomegranate, the nuts and the corn again, but just a time of abundance and good eating, and a good way to go into winter when things are less certain. This is a jelly print, like a horoscope jelly print that I had on hand, and mainly for the colors. I knew I was making, this page here with the deep reds and all. And so I wanted that particular sort of cranberry red. And this had it. And I thought, well, the year's coming to an end as we're into winter, and this is like November, well, December would be winter officially. So we're coming into that season. And so I put it there because the year is coming to an end. And I used another one of those owls just on the wheel. The boar is from the Tuscany set. Oh, I always like to sneak in some more mice if I can in my art. And so again, the harvest is over. Here, the sunshine is fading. And this was just a beautiful painting of, again, sort of the seasons, the music calling the seasons to change. He has the blue of winter in him. And here we have, again, I went with the colors, sort of late autumn. And this is just a stamp I had. And I wanted it to look sort of archaic and, not perfect on that side. And it's on old book page and all. And so here we are at the holidays and the time of Yule, Christmas. So I went with sort of traditional colors. This is again another one of the French fashion ladies, but her dress with the greens and the reds and the golds and everything was perfect for the holidays. And I did put her against a blue background for those cool temperatures, those cool colors. And I just tore up some little images I had of some winter birds. And they're sort of there reminding her that winter is closing in. And Santa here is actually sort of walking on the snow from the white with the bird. And, making a journey, returning from extraordinary travels to unknown lands. And here I just put in some, candies, and this is mincemeat from a little ephemera tag at the Graphics Fairy. I used a lot of the wreaths. I I can't remember what bundle they're in, but if you just were to do an image search for wreaths at the Graphics Fair, you'll find these ones. And again, I cut them up to make them fit the shapes I was trying to merge them with and all. And so we turn the page. This is the last actual page in it. Sorry, headdress got a little tucked there. This is another theatrical character. But the colors, again, the golds, the celebratory nature, put it in with this. And also it says, where there is love, there is no darkness. And I wanted to end, we're in winter, but it's love and the blossoms of spring and all that will bring us out of winter. And so I wanted to kind of end on that note. So this could even be seen as sort of a Cupid with his arrow, his bow and arrow. And so the last page here, we have the couple. Maybe they have been at the party with the elegant lady on this side, and they're leaving together, and he has a flower for her. And I put some little vintage stamped tickets and stuff, like maybe they will go on some future dates. This is just a stamped image that had some oxide ink on it, so it got that real watercolor effect. But I just liked it, the blue, for these winter pages. And this is, I think, is it a kookaburra? I know he probably doesn't fit with the place and time, but I loved this little bird, and the colors in him fit. So he worked his way into the page as well. So they're leaving. There is that hope of love and spring again. And then here is just an image of, sometimes that happens. There you go. An image of an elegant woman. And whether this is a servant or a suitor for her, we don't know. But the party is ending, and she is maybe leaving, and there's that, again, that hope of love and life again as spring comes around in the new year. So there you have it, and I hope you got some different ideas from this. Look at images and bundles on the Graphics Fairy, and think about things you can do with them if you use them in a less traditional way. Like I said, this all started with me looking at these ladies and thinking of flowers, and that their skirts look like flowers if you turn them upside down. And so sometimes that inner artist in you is, coming up with ideas that at first seem sort of silly. But if you work with them, you can come up with interesting stories and interesting journal topics. But most of all, just have fun working with papers and all the ephemera you can find at the Graphics Fairy. Really, it's a treasure trove and so easy to intermix bits from all kinds of bundles to fit your needs. One final note, remember, any page in this journal could be a card or the cover of a smaller journal. You don't need to make a big visual journal like this to have fun with all of these images and ephemera. These could be used in a home decoration. They could be used in a card. They could be used in another journal. Let your imagination just fly with it. But happy late spring, early summer. Stay healthy, and I'll come to you again next month with my next journal. Thanks. Bye-bye.